Hey guys, Thomas here. In this video I want to talk about how to make a book cover that will help to sell your book. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably already know the importance of having a good cover, or at least you are about to know how important it is. So yeah, your book cover, I mean, there's not that much to say. It's really the visual representation of your book. Us as humans, we're very visual creatures, so if we find something visually appealing, we're more likely to already start subconsciously thinking that, okay, this is something good, this is something useful, I will benefit from this, blah 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 blah. So I really recommend that you don't skip out on getting a good, really good cover created. So what is a good cover? What are the pillars, what are the factors that your cover must kind of fulfill for it to be a successful cover as far as marketing goes? Not so much focused on the design angle, although of course they're very related in this scenario. So first off is visibility. Your cover should be visible even when it's it should be easily visible and kind of communicate what it needs to communicate even when it's in a very small thumbnail size. Now, as we're moving into e-commerce, more and more sales are happening online. Everything has to be kind of reduced to a smaller thumbnail size, at least initially, before you click on it. Then it's bigger, you know. But firstly, when your book is first seen by the customer, it's more than likely it's small. So it makes a lot of sense just to make sure it's visible even when it's small. So what does that mean? That means most likely that means a large title or larger title. At least I would recommend at least having the main keyword so that the customer before he or she even clicks on it understands, okay, I see that this book is about this, or maybe that those few keywords or that one keyword can really help to pull the customer to your book's listing, and then hopefully they will purchase your book. That can also be done through various visual means, be it through like some interesting illustration, interesting use of colors, etc., etc. I leave it sort of up to you, but it's important to remember to make sure that it looks good when it's small. It's visible. It has to be visible. Don't make it a mumbo jumbo of little elements that don't make no sense. The next point is boldness. I think your cover should be pretty bold and quite clearly communicate what you want it to communicate. It should stand out in some way from the other books in your niche. Now that will be very different depending on the genre that you're going after, because probably in fiction you probably shouldn't deviate from what is understood, what is acceptable. If you deviate from the established kind of formulas, we could call them, what a fiction cover looks like, it might backfire on you, but you probably still can find some ways of adding your own kind of uniqueness, your own boldness. In non-fiction, well, there's probably more leeway for being creative in that way. You can experiment more with various colors, various font sizes, different uses of images and illustrations. I think in most cases it is definitely a very good idea to have some sort of image, because those images really, it's much easier to communicate with an image oftentimes, because as many studies have shown, an image processes in your brain like this, and text is much slower. You have to your eyes have to read it, translate it in your internal brain database. So definitely recommend that you use some images. The third point is quality and content representation. Now, what does that mean? Quality means high quality, well done design. That means colors that go together well. That means fonts that go together well. That means good fonts. Because it's very simple, really. A good quality book cover means good quality book contents. Pretty straightforward, right? And vice versa is also true. If you see bad book cover, you automatically, subconsciously start to associate that the contents of the book is of the same quality as the cover. Perhaps as a self-publisher, you would think, perhaps this writer or producer didn't really have the funds, blah blah blah. But most normal people, most book readers, book lovers, book enjoyers, won't really make that distinction in their mind, and they'll just automatically assume, okay, they didn't put a lot of effort into this cover. It's probably the contents of the book is the same. I don't want to waste my time on that. I'm gone. I'm gonna buy something else. So make sure that your book cover is of high quality. Make sure that you work with designers if that's the route you're taking that will make good quality design. And the second part of this point is content representation. Your book cover should align with the contents of your book, generally speaking. Of course, it's limited what you can communicate through your book cover, but it should align with what your book is about. If it's misleading, then it's likely that there will be people who buy it based on that misleading idea, and then they don't get what they expected. Reality doesn't match their expectations. Then they're upset, and then they leave you 2-star review. And who wants those? Nobody. So make sure your book cover aligns with the contents of your book. Okay, so now let's go over some common pitfalls, some common mistakes that self-publishers find themselves making, in hopes that I can help you to avoid these mistakes. Number one is a big one: lack of clarity. The designer or the self-publisher just wants, all right, let's put in so much information. I want this set, I want that set, 10 benefits, blah blah blah. Some reviews on the front, whatever. They think, the more I'll put, the more they know how awesome this book is, blah blah blah. That is a pretty common mistake, because we're overloaded with information, and you'll be much better off if your book cover communicates distinctly and clearly one or maximum 2 messages. Like, there's one message that your book cover says clearly, and it's instantly understandable. Okay, I know what this book says, I know what the benefit is, I'm gonna click on it and check it out. And that goes through, you do that communication through text. You communicate that message through text, and also through your visuals. Next point is illegibility of the text. Your cover is not legible. Make sure that your book cover is legible. I would really recommend, even when it is in small thumbnail size, at least one main word could be legible. Everything else could be a little bit smaller, because as we talked about earlier, we are reduced to small screen sizes, and all your covers are smaller. Perhaps in the pre-internet era, we could just browse around the bookstore, pick up the cover, put it against our face if the typeface is small. But that's not something that we can. That's not something that I would recommend to do it. I would recommend to make everything legible and optimized for the place where people will view it. Next common mistake that I see in the self-publishing space is using too many typefaces for your cover. Now, this can work in rare cases, but more often than not, if you use like 10 different fonts for your cover, they just don't go well together, and it looks weird and just does not work. It looks like a weird mishmash of different things. I recommend maybe 2 fonts, maybe 3, I don't know. It really depends on how you make it work and how the fonts are. I mean, you could probably make multiple fonts work if they're kind of aligned with each other, if they complement each other. But, in the general sense, I wouldn't recommend that you go overboard with this one. And last mistake that people make is using very generic and very popular stock photos. So imagine the scenario that you've worked very hard on your book to produce it, to write it, whatever the case may be, and then you get this, $5, $10, whatever, stock photo from Shutterstock or whichever other company, and it's used, it's designed, it's implemented in your cover, and then maybe a month later, some sort of some person, let's call him Johnny, comes along and does the same thing, uses, this is a really good stock photo, and he has the same cover, a very similar cover with the same image in the same, perhaps even genre, and what does that do to your cover? It makes it not unique, it makes it kind of a copy of that other guy's cover, And that's really a scenario I would recommend that you avoid at all costs. It's not a good situation to be in. So how can you avoid this scenario? Well, you could try to get more unique images. You could communicate, contact artists directly. You will highly likely you will pay quite a bit more, but I think it will be worth it. You can also get art designed for you by illustrators. You can find plenty of them on sites like Upwork or Freelancer or 99 Designs. There's no shortage of designers, but it does make a lot of sense to go the extra steps to make your cover more unique. So guys, in summary, aim for a cover that is well designed, that is of high quality, that represents the contents of your book, and is hopefully legible when it is small as well. That will help you to draw more customers into your book's page. That will help you to actually convert those potential customers to actual readers, etc., etc. Your cover can really go a long way in helping you on your self-publishing journey. Hope that was useful, and I will catch you guys later. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this information valuable, please leave this video a like, and also do not forget to subscribe so you can get notified when we release new videos. And just one last thing before you go, I would like to invite you to get a free copy of our report, Best-Selling Book Marketing Checklist. It will show you all the action steps that you gotta take to publish books that sell. No matter if you're new to self-publishing or if you've been doing this for a while, there's value for you in this report. I personally wrote it so I can stand by those claims. To get it, all you have to do is just click the link below and follow all the steps. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you soon.